Hey guys, all right, so we are here back again, right? And so far, I actually want to address a particular issue, right, in respect to our setups, okay? So we've actually had good calls of good so far, right? And so far, like this is literally the trade, which we actually did call last 2 weeks. Yeah, this was practically last week, and we did see an impulsive bullish run, okay? Now, as we did say, we did talk about seeing price expansion all the way to the upside, and so far price has done over more than 8,000 pips all the way to the upside, right? Now, if you're practically a newbie joining this particular community, right, I would literally advise you to go through what was sent in 2 weeks ago in this particular community, where there was a step-by-step breakdown on how we do frame our setup. Now, for those of you who actually come to my DM and ask about setups, right, and why we don't actually get invalid signals or we don't actually get signals, right? Now, we should actually understand one thing that it actually pays to have an A setup, okay? So far for this week, we actually did get setups, right, which actually did miss out on, right? I did actually miss out on it because I was literally out of the house, okay? So we did actually get a sell setup right here, a sell setup right here to buy, okay? And so far, just particularly nothing. Now, one thing is literally assured, you're always going to get an A setup twice a week, okay? You're always going to get an A setup at least twice a week. Now, this is for you to understand and know what you actually want to do with it. Now, what I'm actually going to try to, as much as possible to explain right here is the method of entry. So pretty much the first site is always going to be sent in. The levels are always going to be called to make the work an easy peasy for you all who are particularly newbies to understand how we trade. Okay. And one thing you should actually try as much as possible to discard is the fact that you're strictly here for signals. Okay. So in as much as we are all here and you all are particularly looking to learn, okay, you should try as much as possible to understand the reason behind every trade signal and why a trade is being called in the community, right? So if you're particularly a newbie, try as much as possible to learn the method of entry, right? So pretty much I'm going to be showing you two particular entries or three particular entries, which you can actually use in the market, okay? And we did talk about the fact that there are particularly times where we do get late entries in price, hence signals have not been sent, okay? So signals won't be sent if the setup is not literally an A setup, okay? And a signal won't be sent if we actually do miss the initial entry point. Now, it's left for you to actually flow with the continuation pattern, which I did explain over and over again, right? So if you actually ask what is a continuation pattern, continuation patterns are strictly SNL levels, okay, where you actually want to take buys from or sells from, depending on what the trend is actually saying, okay? So I will literally try as much as possible to publish. For those of you who actually did join the live stream yesterday, we did talk about this, right? So this is it. Now, this is particularly where the previous entry was particularly at. That is our initial entry. Now, on a good note, let's say you actually failed to scale in there, okay? You actually do have the presence of a blind spot set up right here. Okay, hence your entry would have been at this particular point, okay? And you would have flowed the price to the downside. You actually do have price coming back from SNLC type 2, another re-entry, which has been present in price. We actually do have the presence of a blind spot right here and an SNL type 2. You entry right here and you still flow with price to the downside. So pretty much you're still catching every single movement, okay? Now, for the buy stop, which we actually did have, which we actually did get this yesterday, right? And as I did say, if you actually did join the live section yesterday, we actually did break down the reason for this particular buy. Now, the question here is how you would have actually capitalized on this. Now, these particular patterns are practically unique to each time frame. That is to say, the 1 minute is always going to present a continuation, the 5 minutes will present a continuation, right? So you actually have to know which is literally okay for you. Okay. Now, so far, you actually do see the presence of a blind spot set up right here. Okay. And then, boom, you will literally have your entry to flow with price all the way to the upside. So there's practically no excuse on why and how and how you should literally stay adamant and then not get your entry. Okay. If a setup is literally an A setup, a signal will be sent, and if it's literally not worth it, that is to say, if it's practically a late entry, a signal won't be sent. You get me right to avoid unnecessary losses, right? So at that particular point, you're taking a continuation setup. You're practically accepting the risk of that particular setup, right? Unlike taking a signal, you get me right. So pretty much this is the reason why we've literally not had any valid entries, right? And so far, the easiest way, if you're practically a new bit in this particular community, this is the easiest way to go. Okay, so you actually want to like identify uh, a higher time frame level. Okay, so this is practically a daily engulfing candle, and we actually want to trade off a daily engulfing candle, right? The goal is practically to trade from a daily engulfing candle or a daily engulfer straight up to the target. So this is the engulfing candle, and this is the high that propelled the entire retracement, right? But in this particular case, the recent high that propelled the retracement is going to come in at this particular point. Okay. Now, if you actually do go back to the videos I made on GBP USD and how to apply it to passing your prop accounts, I did talk about this over and over again. And as I did say, all of these things are literally very, very simple. They're literally very easy and have taken my time to break it down over and over again, right? So this is particularly the recent high. If you break down all the way to the 4 time frame, we will see this is a recent high that propelled price all the way to the downside. Okay, so it means every single buy which you're looking to take should literally have our targets from this, and then we actually want to see price end here. Okay, this is literally our buy targets. Okay, so we need to see price take this off, and then this is it on the. Okay, so now the goal right now, as I did say, is to take buys from this, and then you want to end here. Okay, so if you're practically new to this method and then you actually don't want to like stress out, the easiest way to go is to play continuation setups. Okay, now the daily. This is the daily. Okay, now if you missed out on your entries right here, you know for sure you actually want to play buys all throughout until you get to this particular level, right? Now the goal is to play our continuations, one of our continuations in line with the daily. Okay, now if we actually don't get to see this, it means that any other setup you're taking is literally a low probability, right? Because firstly, we are practically against the trend. Okay. Now the daily is giving its own daily to daily cycle, and then we actually need to see a 4 hour playing in respect to the daily cycle, and then a 1 hour in respect to the daily cycle. Okay, so now we've actually seen a bullish run. Okay, so scaling to the 4 hour time frame in this entire play, right? It's literally very risky trying to take shots from this, trying to take shots from this, trying to take shots from this specifically. Because at the same time, what price is literally going to do is to play just a little retracement or a little reaction of the 4 hours. So this should, and you should automatically use this to understand why there have been no valid sell signal of this particular levels. Okay, there have literally been no valid sell signal of these particular levels. Instead, we actually tend to like stay sidelines and wait for price to align. If specifically, you're literally going to have problems getting A setups with price giving you this kind of play. Okay, you're always going to have problems with price giving you this because number one, you're literally not going to have your A setup there. And then two, you're literally going to have price giving you just minor rejections from there and then expanding lower and then continue back up impulsively, right? So firstly, if you check on the 4 hour time frame, we did see this 4 hour engulfing candle price did go back straight up into it. And then this is our first entry, this is your second entry, and then price keeps moving all the way to the upside. So if you practically annotate this and then have this as our first entry in line with the trend, and we actually do have this as our second entry, broker difference will actually tell you why, okay? We literally did not get an entry right here. There was practically no entry right here. And then for this, practically the broker, we actually did have brokers conflict coming in right here, okay? So if you scale all the way to the 1 hour time frame, did we actually get a set of continuation patterns all the way to the upside? We did, okay? So it's literally left for you. So we did get the presence of this QML. This is a QML, price expands all the way to the upside. This is the presence of a blind spot, price expands all the way to the upside. Coming into this, we did get an expansion. Blind spot right here, price expanded all the way to the upside, and then boom, price came back. SNLC type 2, price did expand all the way to the upside. This right here is a blind spot, price expanded, and then boom, we actually do have this, okay? Now, this is practically not a valid setup, okay? So what is the next step? The next step is practically to wait for price to get to the daily target, okay? So that is pretty much how it works. Now, the question is, why don't you get entries of this particular levels? Now, as I did say earlier on, I did announce in the community that I always trade off 4-hour levels strictly, right? If you're looking to be a scalper, if you're looking to trade top firms, right, you can literally capitalize on this. Okay. We literally do have entries nested all the way in these particular levels. And this particular thing applies to currencies also. Okay. So if you're looking at GBP USD or GBP JPY, this was the setup which we actually did take at the end of break-even. Okay, so taking a look at this. Taking a look at this. Okay, this is a daily level. This is practically of a weekly. Let's look at the weekly time. As I did say, this particular concept will apply to every single asset out there. So it's literally all dependent on you and which you actually want to play. So let's take a look at previous historical price action. Now, for those of you who have been with us, let's say we actually did start with gold, and then we did adopt GBP USD, and then we actually started trading the both, right? Now, the first aim we actually want to have in price is to decipher the trend, okay? Now, we actually did get a daily sell level, and what did we actually see right here? 1 hour QML type 2, okay? QM type 2 also right here. This is a 1 hour question model. This is particularly a type 2 SNL pattern. This is particularly a type 2. This is particularly a type 2. But this is practically a blind spot, right? And this is practically a QMO. And then boom, okay? This is practically um, a blind spot, okay? This is practically another blind spot. And then we keep getting price movement all the way to the upside continuously, and it doesn't end, okay? So you literally need to like understand that price is more like going to keep respecting itself in respect to the order flow. And when we talk about the order flow, we're talking about the trend, okay, until it gets to a target. So if this is a daily, this is particularly a daily buy level, okay, this is a target. So it means you actually want to take buys from this continuation right here, continuation right here, okay, until you get to this particular level, and then your target is done and dusted. Okay, so that is pretty much for it. That is pretty much for it. So we actually did get a buy level right here. You literally want to like stick to taking buys all throughout until you get to this particular level, playing strictly of continuations. Okay. Now with this being said and done, right? This particular a video on how to actually do this is being nested in the community right there. So you need to like actually go through it. Okay. As I did say, we only prioritize taking A setups that meet our flip criteria, right? We actually don't want to get caught trying to like take a random trade setup or just play a random trade setup, okay? So you actually want to like stick to A setups, and when we talk about A setups, we talk about setups that meet the entry criteria, right? We actually do have a whole lot of continuation setups which are being presented. You can literally have your strategic entries at them. Now, we've literally seen some of the mentees who actually do well in the community. Now, this is really high level all the way to this, okay? So the target we talked about. So you can literally have your entry right here, stacked in right here. You actually have another entry locked in right here. Okay, we actually have another one at this particular point. We actually have another at this particular point, another at this particular point. Okay, which I literally do have this. And then price continues expanding all the way to the upside. So pretty much there's practically no excuse on how or waiting for just a signal every single day, right? Because at the end of the day, you're literally not going to have someone forever, okay? And this is not a valid situation, right? What I'm trying to say is, at the end of the day, you've only got you, okay? And even if as much as possible you try to wait for the signals, right? try as much as possible to learn how this thing has been done, okay? Because at the end of the day, you literally have just yourself, and then you have you and your parts, okay? So you don't try to like play with it or try to like slack on it, okay? We actually have the precision being intact. The precision is there, so you're literally going to have an A setup every single time, okay? So this is how easy it is. This is practically how easy it is. You study the entry criteria right here. You literally just killing with SNL levels. Now, if you have to break down a simple SNL level, this is a blind spot setup, okay? This is practically a blind spot setup. Price pulling into this, you actually want to see price come to an SNL level, okay? So you actually want to see price come back to a 5 minutes SNL level, okay? A 5 minutes demand. Find this to a 5 minutes SNL level, and boom, you're good to go. So at this particular point, what do we actually see in price? What do we actually see in price? We actually do see a key level. So pretty much we actually have the presence of an SNLC. Price comes back into this, and literally at this particular point, refining this all the way to the 1 minute, and the price responds all the way to the upside. Now, as I did say earlier on, we practically, or a signal is always going to be given off an A setup, which entails trading of the 4 hour for me, right? And if you're literally into scalping, then you can literally capitalize on price run of this particular levels, okay? You can literally capitalize off price run. There are practically many ways to trade this particular concept. You actually have the aspect of trading of you actually have the aspect of trading of just engulfing candle continuations, right? Pretty much there are practically a whole lot of ways to capitalize on the market. So you don't slack on it. And as I did say, if there be any confusion, you can reach out to the section, okay? So that's it is, guys. So far, we've not actually had a kind of setup we want to like flip up from or let's say trade off from, right? The only setup which we actually did have this week was within this particular zone, and we actually did end up missing it, right? So that is literally the reason why there have been no signals so far. Okay, that is literally the reason why there have been no signals so far. You're always going to get two A setups for the week, and also combining with the this tool, right? Pretty much, I'm quite sure a lot of persons have not even gone through this particular tool, right? Now, this particular tool, right, actually helps you to gauge the trend for the week. And as I did say it over there, you actually want to apply this to the weekly, okay? Now, in the weekly, when you apply this to the weekly weekly volume, right, you get to see where the trend for the week should actually be instead of than you trade off from it, right? So, as I did say, two setups for the week, you actually do have the presence of this particular 4 hour engulfing candle with a 1 hour aligning, right? And we actually have this at this particular point, POC, right? And then boom, we actually did get an expansion all the way to the upside, and price has been given this rally all the way to the upside. I did talk about this over, and then this was practically last week, okay? This was practically last week, same thing, and then price has been rallying all the way to the upside. So there are pretty much no excuse on why you should actually flop on this. This was 2 weeks ago. You remember this particular impulsive push all the way to the downside, which we did call, right? And what did we actually get? This is where the level was nested at for our right here, okay? And there's a video on how to actually apply this. And then price tapped into this, and we actually did get the expansion all the way to the downside for the week. So it keeps happening over and over again, and there's practically no stop or non-stop on this particular concept, right? So if there be any confusion, do well to reach out. And again, if an A setup is being same, there's literally going to be a signal on it, right? How to scaling has been sent in right there, and how to actually capitalize on the flip signals have been sent in right there. And if you're practically trading a proper count, you get me right, you can literally go through the video on how to like scale through problems, okay? And pretty much every single thing there have been tested and proven, right? Trading a proper account, flipping a proper account from 5K, and everybody right there in the community know how it panned out, okay? So there's practically no excuse and limitation to how you can actually do this, right? So that's it is, guys. We are waiting for the next setup and then look at the wallet setup. Now, for those of you who are particularly wondering why there was no signal on this, now, firstly, we actually did get a lot of brokers conflicts, right? As there was no level on my broker, there's practically nothing on my broker on this, and this was not literally given a fresh level. Okay, there was practically no fresh level right here. We really did detect the pulse and the exhaustion point right here, but still, this was literally a very bad one to take. So that is it, guys. See you guys on the next one.